He ran, across the concrete, past rows of startled passengers, through the sliding airport doors, then, without slowing, over the perimeter fence, into the brush. His passport was left behind, his phone too, even his suitcase. It was as if Lars Mittank was running for his life. But from what? This wasn't a fugitive. He had no record, no enemies. He wasn't a man on drugs. He wasn't drunk. He wasn't armed. Lars was a 28-year-old German engineering student. He played football, had a tight circle of friends. He was close to his mother. He lived a quiet life. But one week in Bulgaria changed everything. July 2014. Lars and his friends take a budget flight to Varna, a coastal city on the Black Sea. Cheap drinks, hotel rooms, football matches. For the first few days, it was all routine, until a minor disagreement outside a fast food restaurant spiraled into a fist fight. Lars said he was punched by a group of strangers, maybe over team rivalries. He walked away with a ruptured eardrum. A doctor advised him not to fly. His friends had to leave, so Lars stayed behind alone. He booked a room at a cheap hotel near the airport. And that's when everything shifted. The messages started coming, first confused, then frantic. He told his mother he didn't feel safe. He said men were following him. He thought they wanted to poison him. At one point, he texted her, "What should I do?" Then another message, this time a whisper left on voicemail. He sounded terrified. "I don't know where I am. I'm hiding." That night, Lars vanished from his hotel for hours. The next morning, he arrived at the airport to finally fly home. But the moment he stepped into the airport medical office to get clearance to fly, something spooked him. A construction worker walked in. Lars's demeanor changed. He stood up, whispered something under his breath, then bolted out of the office. Security cameras caught him sprinting through the terminal, out of the building, across the tarmac, and into the woods. That was the last confirmed sighting of Lars Mittank. No trace of him has ever been found. No body, no belongings, no bank activity, no passport scans, no confirmed sightings anywhere. Just blurry speculation, internet theories, and a grieving family. A man vanished into thin air, with every second of his panic recorded. And yet, no one knows what really happened. Some say it was a mental breakdown. Others believe he was being followed, for real. What began as a summer trip with friends ended in one of Europe's most unsettling modern mysteries. A man who entered an airport to go home never made it. His name was Lars Mittank, and his story begins right here. This is Dark Trail Files. Subscribe if you're ready to walk deeper into the shadows. Lars Mittank was born in Germany in 1986. An only child, raised by a devoted mother who described him as gentle, thoughtful, and deeply rooted in family. He wasn't the sort who made waves. He wasn't reckless, and he certainly didn't live life on the edge. Those who knew him called him calm, kind, the sort of person you could count on to help you move a couch, or stay behind after a party to help clean up. He had no criminal record, no history of violence, no known drug use, no sign of mental illness. Lars was steady, grounded. He loved football, especially his home team, Werder Bremen. He liked being outdoors, hiking in the German countryside, catching games with friends. He was studying engineering at the time, a field that suited his methodical and level-headed personality. And so, when Lars and his 4 close friends planned a vacation to the Bulgarian coast in June of 2014, it seemed like the most ordinary thing in the world. A week of sun, drinks, laughter, the type of carefree getaway every group of young men dreams of. They stayed near Golden Sands, a popular beach resort just outside the city of Varna. For the first few days, everything was normal. Drinks on the beach, music, football matches on bar TVs. Just a quiet escape from everyday life. But something changed. One night, Lars got into an altercation. It happened outside a bar. Some accounts say it was over a disagreement about football teams, maybe even a rivalry between German fans. Others suggest it was more than that. What is known as this? Lars was punched. He suffered an injury to his ear, a ruptured eardrum. It wasn't life-threatening, but it was serious enough that a doctor advised him not to fly home with the others. The cabin pressure could worsen the damage. So Lars made a decision. His friends would return to Germany without him. He would stay behind just a few more days, heal, rest, and catch a later flight. From that point on, nothing would be ordinary again. Because after that injury, after the group split, something in Lars seemed to change. He checked into a cheap hotel near the airport. Alone, he began texting his mother in strange, abrupt ways. He told her he didn't feel safe, that people were following him, that she should cancel his credit cards. The calm, dependable son she knew had begun sending messages that sounded more like distress signals. And then, the messages stopped. The next morning, July 8th, 2014, Lars entered Varna Airport with a ticket in hand. He checked in his bag, sat in the waiting area. But at some point, he walked into the airport medical center, presumably to ask if he was clear to fly. Inside that office, something happened. A construction worker reportedly entered the room for unrelated reasons. And according to the doctor, Lars suddenly froze. Then stood. Then ran. He sprinted out of the airport, past baggage claim, through the automatic doors, across the pavement, left everything behind. His passport, his luggage, his wallet, even his phone. Security cameras captured him darting across the parking lot and into the woods. And then, nothing. No confirmed sightings. No trace. It's as if Lars Mittank vanished into the trees and never came back. By now, Lars Mittank was alone in a foreign country. His friends had boarded their flight back to Germany. But Lars, with a ruptured eardrum from a strange altercation just days earlier, stayed behind to recover, waiting for the all-clear to fly. That decision would be the last trace of normalcy in his life. He checked into a low-cost place called Hotel Color, a plain building nestled in one of the rougher parts of Varna, far from the sunny beaches and tourist spots. And almost immediately, something changed in him, something his family and friends had never seen before. The texts began. First, they were just strange. Then they became frightening. He messaged his mother, "I'm hiding." Shortly after, "I'm scared." And then the most haunting, "They're trying to kill me." He urged her to cancel his credit cards. He claimed he was being followed by 4 men. He didn't say who they were, but implied they were hired by someone, perhaps tied to the earlier fight on the beach. He didn't go into details. He just kept saying he didn't feel safe. That night, Lars left his hotel in a panic. He didn't tell anyone where he was going. No explanation. No trace. Just vanished into the night. For nearly 24 hours, no one knew where Lars was. He had disappeared from his room and wasn't answering his phone. Then, on the morning of July 8th, he reappeared at Varna Airport. But he wasn't the same. Airport surveillance shows him pacing, fidgeting, constantly looking over his shoulder. He walked into the airport medical center to consult with a doctor, a necessary step, since his ear injury needed clearance before he could fly. But then something happened. A man walked in, a construction worker, unrelated to anything happening. He was simply doing his job. But Lars looked up, saw the man, and froze. His voice, trembling and panicked, was heard saying, "I don't want to die here." Then, in an instant, he bolted. Surveillance cameras caught every second of it. Lars sprints through the airport's main corridor. He darts past startled passengers, rushes through automatic glass doors, and vanishes from the terminal. Then, he climbs a tall security fence and runs into the thick woods beyond the airport. And just like that, he was gone. No one has seen him since. No phone, no luggage, no passport, no goodbye. Just a terrified man running toward the unknown, like he was being hunted by something only he could see. And the world was left with one terrifying question. What did Lars Mittank see that made him run like that? The CCTV footage of Lars sprinting out of the airport, wild-eyed, panicked, and barefoot, captivated the world. But behind that viral video was a mother waiting for her son to come home. And behind that panic was a mystery no one could quite explain. Within hours of his disappearance, Bulgarian police began searching the dense forest surrounding Varna Airport. The terrain was thick and unforgiving. Trees stretched for miles with little light breaking through the canopy. Officers combed the area for any sign of Lars, a footprint, a torn piece of clothing, anything. But there was nothing. No body, no blood, no signs of a struggle. It was as if Lars had run into the trees and simply vanished. Back at the airport, his belongings were still intact. His backpack, wallet, identification, and cell phone remained untouched. No outgoing messages. No calls. No withdrawal from any bank. No digital activity. In the digital age, Lars Mittank had become a ghost. Word of his disappearance spread quickly. The strange surveillance video, showing a seemingly ordinary young man fleeing an airport in terror, made headlines across Germany and beyond. News anchors replayed the clip again and again, questioning what could have caused such a dramatic breakdown. His mother, Sandra Mittank, became the face of the search. She appeared on German talk shows, news segments, and international broadcasts. Her voice always trembling with hope, always saying the same thing. Lars, if you're watching this, please come home. We're not angry. We just want you safe. Public support surged. Online forums lit up with theories. Some said he was on the run from criminals. Others believed he was suffering from a sudden psychotic break. A few insisted he'd been targeted by something darker, some secret, some entity that didn't want him found. Back in Bulgaria, however, the response was restrained. Local police treated the case as a likely voluntary disappearance. No signs of foul play, no demands for ransom, no bodies. To them, Lars was just another adult who had chosen to vanish. German authorities opened a missing person file, but without any evidence of a crime, their hands were tied. No jurisdiction, no cooperation treaty with Bulgaria that could push for a deeper investigation. The case slowly stalled. The CCTV footage, chilling, silent, and unresolved, remained the only real clue. Weeks turned to months. Months became years. Lars Mittank had simply disappeared, and no one knew why. The last known image of Lars Mittank is a man running for his life. But what exactly was he running from? It's a question that has kept internet sleuths, journalists, and even psychologists up at night, trying to fill in the gaps of a story that seems to defy logic. Over the years, countless theories have emerged, each one more unsettling than the last. Some believe Lars was in the middle of a mental health crisis. To those who knew him, this would have been unimaginable. He was stable, bright, calm. But not long before his disappearance, he was prescribed ciprofloxacin, an antibiotic with a dark, little-known side effect. In rare instances, it's been linked to anxiety, confusion, even paranoid delusions. What if the drug had altered his brain chemistry? What if what he saw wasn't real, but felt real enough to send him spiraling? Then again, maybe it wasn't paranoia. What if Lars really was being followed? His call to his mother wasn't vague. He was scared. So scared he whispered. So scared he told her not to cancel his credit cards. So scared, he told her he was hiding. That alone suggests danger. Real, tangible danger. Maybe someone from the beach altercation had it out for him. Or maybe he crossed paths with the wrong person at the wrong time. Saw something he shouldn't have. Was there a secret he stumbled into by accident? In the shadows of Bulgaria's underworld, theories grow darker. Some believe Lars was being groomed for drug trafficking. Others whisper about human smuggling rings. The region is known for it. Could he have been marked? Threatened? Was he running from something criminal? Something organized? There's no proof. But the absence of proof only deepens the fear. Then there's the idea that haunts some the most, that Lars simply wanted to disappear. A voluntary vanishing act. No crimes. No conspiracies. Just a man who'd had enough. But that raises another chilling problem. If that's true, where did he go? No digital trace. No surveillance. No bank activity. No sightings. Nothing. And finally, there's the forest. The one he ran into barefoot. The one that has swallowed people before. Maybe Lars didn't make it far. Maybe his sprint from the airport was his last desperate burst of adrenaline. Maybe he collapsed under a tree, disoriented, scared, and never got up again. But if that's true, if he died alone in those woods, why hasn't he been found? Year after year, that question lingers. And with it, a horrifying possibility that the answer is still out there, somewhere between what we know and what we're too afraid to admit. He was gone, completely and utterly gone. And that silence, that vacuum, became the perfect storm. As days passed without a single confirmed lead, the story of Lars Mittank exploded into global consciousness. It started with the local press in Germany. "Young man disappears in Bulgaria" was a headline that drew sympathetic glances. But as journalists dug deeper, they found something chilling. That video? The one of Lars bolting out of the terminal barefoot, terrified, and disappearing into thin air. Once that footage hit the internet, the story caught fire. Within weeks, international outlets picked it up. Der Spiegel, BBC, CNN, Vice. True crime blogs sank their teeth into it. Forums like Web Sleuths and Reddit began dissecting every movement. Was he running from someone or from something in his mind? Then came the theories, and they were endless. Some said he was abducted by organ traffickers. They believed his injuries from the soccer brawl were a cover story, and that he was being targeted from the beginning. But why? Others insisted he suffered a psychotic break, triggered by the antibiotics, or perhaps by untreated mental illness. But again, why then? Why there? There were darker whispers too. Claims that he discovered something he wasn't supposed to, that he overheard or witnessed something in Bulgaria that put his life in danger. They pointed to his panic phone calls, his paranoia, his decision to run. Was someone inside the airport following him? Watching? Red circles on screenshots. Theories in all caps. Thousands of people, strangers from all walks of life, trying to crack the case like it was a code. But none of it led anywhere. People from around the world claimed to have seen Lars. In 2016, a man in Canada was spotted sleeping on the street, matching Lars' build and face. Pictures were posted. A family member traveled to check. It wasn't him. In Italy, a tourist believed she spoke with a disoriented German man at a hostel who refused to share his name. That man vanished before police could arrive. In Poland, a man was filmed wandering barefoot near the border. Facial recognition experts analyzed it. Again, no match. Each sighting brought a rush of hope, a heartbeat of possibility, and each one ended in the same crushing silence. At the center of the storm was Lars' mother, Lars Mittank. From the very beginning, she refused to believe her son had died. Not without a body, not without a trace. In interviews, she clutched his photo to her chest. Her voice would break as she said his name. Lars. Lars is out there. I can feel it. I feel it. Every year, on the anniversary of his disappearance, she lit candles and made public appeals. She launched websites, translated missing posters into multiple languages, and paid for private investigators to follow up on any credible tip. She appeared on talk shows, documentaries, radio stations, anything that might keep Lars' face in the public eye. But hope, even in its most powerful form, can't fill an empty seat at the dinner table. Can't answer the question that rings in a mother's ears each night. Why didn't I go with him? In time, the toll became visible. Sandra aged years and months. Her eyes dimmed, but still she searched. Somewhere along the way, Lars' disappearance became more than a case. It became a symbol of everything we fear but don't understand. Because if a healthy, happy 28-year-old man can vanish in the middle of the day on security cameras at a public airport, then how safe are any of us, really? The internet didn't forget Lars. It couldn't. Reddit threads about his case reached hundreds of thousands of comments. YouTube channels built entire careers analyzing 6 seconds of footage. TikTok creators made series about Lars with millions of views. Some believed they could solve it. Others simply mourned someone they'd never met. They called it the most mysterious airport disappearance in the world. And it stuck. Today, Lars Mittank will be 37 years old. His passport has never been found. No fingerprints. No credit card activity. No remains. Nothing. And that's what makes the pain sharper. We can process death. We can grieve tragedy. But mystery? Mystery never lets go. Because there's always that question. What if he's still out there? Maybe he's living off-grid, afraid to come home. Maybe he lost his memory, wandering somewhere with no name. Maybe he died just minutes after that video, and no one ever found him. Or maybe, just maybe, the truth is something no one's considered yet. That's why this case haunts people, because it ends in nothing. And that kind of ending feels like a story that never really finished. It's been more than a decade since Lars Mittank vanished from Varna, Bulgaria. 11 long, silent years. 11 birthdays missed. 11 Christmases passed without him. And despite all the noise made back then, the headlines, the theories, the posters in foreign languages, today, there are still no answers. No confirmed sightings. No phone calls. No activity on his bank accounts, his passport, his social media. Nothing. Just silence. His mother, Sandra, still searches. She's never stopped. In the early years, she traveled across Europe chasing leads. She spoke with anyone who claimed to have seen a man that looked like Lars. Canada, Poland, Italy. There were tips, sightings, hopes, but each one ended in disappointment. She still keeps the posters printed, still has the hotline open. Every few months, someone calls. I think I saw your son. And each time, she holds her breath, just for a second, because maybe this time it's real, but it never is. The video of Lars running out of the Varna airport, clutching his bag, looking over his shoulder like something was chasing him. That video has taken on a life of its own. It's played at law enforcement conferences. It's shown in missing persons training seminars. It's been featured in countless documentaries, podcasts, and YouTube videos. That blurry CCTV footage is now burned into the memory of anyone who's ever gone down the rabbit hole of internet mystery. And yet, that footage is the last thing anyone ever saw of Lars Mittank. 11 seconds. One final glance behind him. Then gone. Authorities in Bulgaria now classify the case as inactive but unsolved. In Germany, it remains an open missing persons file. They haven't declared him dead. They haven't given up, not officially. But the truth is, there have been no new developments. The family still gets tips. But they're rarer now. The posters are still up in a few places, but they're fading. The threads on Reddit are still active, but the comments now echo each other, going in circles. And maybe that's the most haunting part of all. In the age of digital footprints, Lars Mittank simply vanished. No ping, no purchase, no passport scan. Just a young man running out of an airport one summer morning, never to be seen again. His mother said, in one of her last interviews, I don't know what happened to Lars, but I know he didn't just stop being my son. And until someone can prove to me otherwise, I will keep believing he's out there. Somewhere. There's no neat ending to this story. No answers. No closure. Only the haunting absence of a son who never came home. And the rest of us, watching, guessing, analyzing, still trapped in that loop of 11 seconds, watching Lars run out of frame and disappear forever. It has been over a decade since Lars Mittank vanished without a trace. 11 long years filled with aching silence. 11 birthdays missed. 11 summers without answers. And still, the same grainy airport footage plays on loop. The last known images of a young man in distress, running for his life. Or was he running from something else? That video, just 30 seconds long, has haunted investigators, family, and strangers alike. It's been studied frame by frame, pixel by pixel. Yet no breakthrough. No one saw where he went next. No security camera picked him up. No taxi. No trail. Just nothing. For his mother, the pain hasn't dulled. Every year, she pleads for help. Every year, she reminds the world that her son didn't just disappear. He was lost in plain sight. She's followed every tip, hired private investigators, shared his story across borders. But still she waits. And yet, in all that time, no confirmed sightings, no bank withdrawals, no digital footprint. Lars Mittank simply evaporated. How does that happen in the modern world? How does someone walk out of an airport, a place saturated with cameras, and never walk back into the light? Some believe it was paranoia brought on by medication. Others think he may have been targeted by criminals or silenced for something he shouldn't have seen. There are those who wonder if he ran to escape something or someone, or if he ran because his own mind had turned against him. But no matter what theory you believe, one fact remains. Lars Mittank is still missing. And someone, somewhere, knows exactly why. If you have even the smallest piece of information, something you heard, someone you knew, something that didn't sit right, speak up. It could change everything. One moment, he was there, the next, gone forever. But someone, somewhere, knows the truth. What do you think happened to Lars Mittank? Was it fear, or was someone really after him? Leave your theory in the comments. Let's piece this together, one clue at a time. And if this case haunted you like it haunted us, if you believe that voices like Lars deserve to be heard and never forgotten, then subscribe to Dark Trail Files. Click the bell so you never miss a story that still needs answers. Because some trails go cold, but not here, not on Dark Trail Files.